Okay, hi everyone. Bethany has asked me to take a look at an article that is sensitive, and so I did. I had the initial thought of maybe bringing this onto the big screen at Monday's regular meeting, but I have a borough meeting that night, so I won't be able to do it. But I didn't want to delay the publication of this piece, so I thought I would create a video, and the whole staff can watch it for training if they would like to. But this is specifically aimed at Alex and John and Bethany and whoever else is interested. It is about there was an ICE protest, march, a protest. We need to nail down the language on this, but let me share my screen. Okay, I think we're all set then. Yeah. Okay, so here's how it goes. Overall, the reason I'm providing this feedback, this is not fit to publish yet. There are too many holes. The material is not presented in an orderly fashion, meaning it's not all the pieces are sort of here, but they're not. They don't. The organization is not crisp. So let me dive in. So the original headline says students march across campus in protest of ICE. First thing is the protest should be to protest, not in protest of. So let's get rid of that throughout. And then ICE, you need to look these things up, is not ICE with the periods after. It's not an abbreviation like that. It is like this. And it just takes a second to look that up. It's ICE. So that needs to be corrected throughout. And then the subhead was over a dozen students gather on DMZ. That's not an impressive number. So to have that as a subhead, not really great. And then the subhead is supposed to really add some value beyond what the headline gives us. So I looked then, down below in the article. Those of you that have had me for class before know that that's how I generate for student work. Students are like, what do I write for a headline and subhead? And I say, let's look at your work. So down below, I read this: fears grow over government use of detention centers. That's an important part of the story. So now, and this is essential, you've got to get the headline and the subhead right. And then that goes into the lead. And the lead then, based on this formula that we've just created, headline plus subhead equals lead. So the lead here, as written, misses the mark because it needs to be students march across campus to protest ICE on February 3rd. What was the day, February 3rd? And it's already, wow, that was a Tuesday. It's important to add the day of the week when you're supplying a date because sometimes people can, right? There can be confusion. So you've got a double verifiable piece of information here. So, right, just to be direct, students, KU students march across campus to protest ICE. So this would be Tuesday, February. And here we go. Now we're picking up the line and see if I can drag and drop. On Tuesday, February 3rd, KU students marched across campus. We know that headlines and subheads are written in present tense and stories are written in past tense. Marched across campus to protest ICE. Protest ICE. Even as fears grow, student fears grow over government use of data centers. And we've got the 12 there, approximately, right? On Tuesday, February 3rd, approximately to 12, a dozen yeah, KU students marched across campus to protest ICE, even as students' fears over government use of detention centers. That maybe could be worded a little bit better, but I'm not going to massage that right now. I'll let you guys work on that. KU students gathered on the DMZ. That's good. To protest, not in protest of, to protest U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Okay, so now we're getting to that. So, right? I mean, upon first reference, it needs to be like this. And then maybe I get rid of the even as student fears grow over government use. Okay. Marched around. So the other part we're bumping into here is we've got marched, we've got marched, we've got marched, we've got marched. So control F, we've got five of them and they're all stacked at the top. So, what other words can we use rather than saying march, march, march again? They gathered on the DMZ. That's good. They walked around campus for 2 hours. Okay. And then they walked from dormitories to the library. So that can go away. See what I'm getting at here. And yeah, I'm looking closely at this because this is the kind of article, when we're normally writing articles about events that are happening on campus, it doesn't attract a lot of attention from the outside world, but something like this could definitely attract attention from the outside world. And I want you guys as authors of the article to be bulletproof. Also looking out for myself because one of the first things people will say is, "Where's the advisor on this?" If it's kind of a mess, and they're also going to say, "Where's the editor on this?" So I'm trying to protect everyone. I see the colons creeping in to the bylines. No colon in the bylines for Keystone articles. That's typically not done in the world of professional journalism. Where was I? All right, the march officially began at 2:15. So then organization and development. Students who arrived early exchanged thoughts about the recent incidents with ICE and the Trump administration. And then the way this was written is this paragraph was stitched right to that. And then it shifted. Many students made cardboard signs. Well, wait a minute. You just said they exchanged thoughts. Like what? What were they talking about? Did you get any glimmer of that? But I mean, you see what I mean? You've got me interested in that point. And then you said students had cardboard signs. And I was like, okay, so much for that point that you were making. Melt ice. Okay, so then you go into the development of the signs, which is good. Periods always inside quotation marks and commas inside quotation marks. While walking across campus, students chanted such phrases as "fuck off, ice" in unison. We're not going to write FUCK, so you can do the asterisks thing. It's always a matter of how much value does that add. I don't know. If I were the editor in this situation, I would strike that. Can I delete that? Yeah, like that. Maybe that's true. If you're bringing something to a point, and it even got to that point where people started to yell or do that, where they were bringing the F bomb, then okay. But you see what I'm saying? It's an editorial decision that I would probably go against. The other quotes here serve. One of the things you have to watch out for in any writing situation is for your opponent or a critic or something to be able to take one thing out of your story and say, look, they have to resort to saying fuck. If you need to do it, I stand by you. But if you don't, then you don't want to give your opponents that one thing that they can grip onto. Many students made cardboard signs, right? Those who arrived and helped to organize the event had learned of the event, the effort in the event, right? Yak yak. Some students joined. That's fine. Despite a lower attendance of about a dozen, it's an editorial statement that you're making of lower attendance. Just stick with the facts. It was about 12 students, but we already said that above. So I don't see this being necessary at all. Students felt empowered in using their First Amendment right to organize and assemble. Did somebody say this? Or is it editorial? And now we're going to sources. That's good. I thought the protest was a success, said freshman Fahima. It looks like we are protecting the identities of people by only using first names. That is common now in the world of journalism. Although down below there was somebody who was identified by first and last name, Avery Real. So I would suggest getting rid of the Real. See what I mean? This is a standard thing. Fahima, you've got a quote. That's good. First time engaging. Now, I thought that this should have been lifted in the article. The gathering was held in response. So let's see if I can cut this. And then you see you've got Ivan there. So students marched. That's where I would put that. Hmm. And then I remember, so somebody said, Ivan said, and you've got only the first name. I remember reading about a Venezuelan man. I heard that an ICE agent strangled him while he was in captivity, which is homicide. Did you verify? You're just going to let him say maybe there was an event where somebody was killed? I mean, it is our job as journalists to verify that information. Where you say, indeed, on this date, according to CNN, somebody was murdered by ICE in a detention facility. I have to do our homework on that. Anxiety. Now we've got lives of KU students. ICE detention center being planned for construction in Berks County. It is not. It is a warehouse, and you say in the next line it's a purchased warehouse. So there's no for construction. Yeah. So it's being planned in Berks County. So this is going to go away. Be careful. Again, you're going to have readers that say, "Oh, look at them. They think that it's going to be constructed. It's not. It's a building that already exists." And you know, on and on. Purchase warehouse is located. Yes, yes, yes. When you refer to the state of Pennsylvania, it is spelled out. You only use the PA, capital P, capital A, when you're delivering a street address. And then, so we've got some repetition here. Participants were quick to address their anxieties. Okay. And then students across campus have begun to express their fears and discuss. You said that above. The idea is to introduce that insight and then provide information or quotes or whatever afterwards. So this isn't hanging together properly. This could potentially be moved up in the article, despite these pervasive fears. So yeah, so the detention center. So there's the march that you've got to deal with, and the detention centers that you've got to deal with. So what I would suggest is if you even need to use subheadings within the article, you can do that. Mm-hmm. And just for your own. Maybe these go away, but then we've got so once you break it into those two organizational structures, then it's easier for you to go, oh, okay, we're going to complete this one, and then we'll move on to the detention centers. And did you see then? And then I'm ahead of you on that, right? So I already put that in as the subhead. So you see structurally where I'm coming from. Mm-hmm. I'm almost there. Student protesters hope their activism will inspire younger generations. And then you've got the quote, whether attending events in person or utilizing platforms on social media, there's a plethora of actions students can take. Well, now you're providing advice. And then I wrote here, such as, okay, so I'll give you, as a news gatherer, the notion that there are a number of things that students can do, and I'm gathering this information and it's actionable information and I'm providing it. It's dangerously close to partisan style writing, though, because you're obviously taking the side of the students in this case. So that is kind of questionable. But then the such as, then tell me about what are the actions according to some website or some the preservation of democracy website. I'm just making that up, but whatever that might be, here's what students can do. The organizers of February's protest expressed interest in assembling again later this spring and encouraged students to join and use their voice. That's fine. So that's the thing. So right, I guess I've said all that I have to say. So I guess I will just close. If there are questions or follow up, please let me know. I guess in closing, I would say go ahead and try to make these changes and then run it by me again. I'm not trying to intervene in the editorial process. The editor of the newspaper brought me in, and I'm trying to help you best say what you're trying to say here. I'm not trying to hijack the work in any way, shape, or form. Okay, that's all I have. Stop my share and stop the video. Thanks very much.